Beatles, they want ABBA, they want the Beach Boys. We've moved on. And we don't, it's not, oh, pack up your troubles in your own kit bag, nice as it is, and maybe we do all remember the words, but actually we have to think that the people now who have dementia were at school with us. That's who they are. And those are the memories, and what a brilliant idea. Downsizing, go through the attic, find the things you can put in a memory box so that you can either use them for yourselves or donate them to other people in the future. Great idea.
Following on from that, we could make a memory book with our families. As I said, just a picture of ourselves when we were younger, where we came from, perhaps a little map at the side of where we came from. So that, and a wedding or your children's christening or whatever it is. But we should be making those memory books now while we can, so that not a big one, just a few A4 sheets, so that if you did have to go in a care home or in a hospital, it could go with you, and the people who are caring for you will be able to have a conversation with you about that photograph. Who is that? That's your mother and your father, and they were Norman or Amy or Judith or whatever.
So making your own memory boxes. One of the schools, you've got memory books here, look, and an idea of how to do it. One of the school projects that was done in Kent was that a whole group of kids got together and they paired off with people from the Alzheimer's Society and went into the homes, supervised I have to say, not on their own, and talked to people who had dementia and their carers and created not just a memory box, which is what Carmen has got up there, from Marks and Spencer, but they created memory books. Yeah? Hang on, you can't hear you, darling, because I've got the microphone. Hold on.
This is a memory book. I put my name in it, so I decided I better start my own. And my box, that's my box, I should start it. But it tells people about your family, about birthdays, anniversaries, important dates, social memories of your holidays, family gatherings, important addresses and special memories. So you can get one of those anywhere. In fact, you can get it from the DFWI office. If you speak nicely, they might buy some more in, all right? $3.99.
But I can tell you that the project that they did in Kent was brilliant because they went into these people's homes, as I say, supervised. They took photographs, they did all, and they spoke to them, and then the kids went away, and for those people who had dementia, created the memory books. And I was telling Heather a story earlier about how important it is to talk to people and remind them. As I've said, we're doing a project with the Boy Scouts and the Girl Guides, and we did a pioneer project with a group of Boy Scouts who went into a care home, and they were just sitting around talking to people in the care home. And there was one lady who apparently annoyed the hell out of everybody else in the room, in the care home, because she was constantly tapping on the table, like constantly tapping. You've heard this story, the Morse code. Now, this was because someone who knew Morse code recognised it, and that wouldn't have happened otherwise. And so it is important to find the key that unlocks the memory, because that particular lady now talks, but she didn't for a very, very long time. So it's finding that key, and if you can make your own memory boxes now, then your kids won't have to do it. But making memory boxes for other people is perhaps, or memory books, is perhaps something that you could all do. Norman?
Yeah, just following on from the hospitals and nurses, if anybody lives in South Devon, all 11 community hospitals now, 98% of their staff, right the way from hospitality, all the way up to chief execs, have been trained in dementia awareness, and they've been trained on the Royal College of Nursing SPACE programme, which both Angela and I appeared in. All 11 community hospitals in South Devon now fly under not only the Purple Angel, but also the Forget Me Not as well. As you walk into the hospitals, you see a big angel saying, "We are dementia aware," and when the nurses get hold of the notes, it has the Forget Me Not logo on the patient's note. This is the angel and the dementia Forget Me Not working together as it should be. And this is what we're all about. This is what we need to do. In Torbay is a community, is an acute hospital, and we now have over a third of their staff trained up in dementia awareness under the space training programme. We will possibly become the first acute hospital in the world to get all staff trained. If you need to know anything about nurses in North Devon, please contact Southams or contact you or contact me. Those nurses that are not getting the training that should do will get it.
And indeed, they're working through all the hospitals in the country to ensure, as I say, gradually, that all nurses do become dementia aware. Yes.
I'm Carol. I work as a carer in a care home. I'm doing a diploma at the moment. One thing that we are short of is time as carers in a care home. We wash, we dress, we feed, we medicate. What we need is people to come in and talk to our residents and do activities with them. So could I suggest that WIs adopt a local care home? Could they go and speak to the manager of the local care home and see what you could do? You may need to have a CRB check if you're going to go into the home regularly, but I think that's something that's very practical that we could do after, of course, you've done the dementia awareness training, which my WI exams have done, all of us.
And also, I think, bearing in mind the bad publicity that a minority of care homes have got, because I know from the ones that I visit, the majority are brilliant, they do a great job, and they're full of people who care about the people that they look after. It's also a way of care homes becoming more transparent within the community, opening your doors and saying, come in and see us. And one of the things that we have suggested to the Care Quality Commission, who are responsible for care homes in the country, and we're now working this through every care home, is that the care homes themselves become centres for dementia awareness. That you, in other words, they can provide dementia champions and say to people in the immediate local community, come in, learn to be dementia aware, do our dementia awareness, not training but awareness, do the Dementia Friends awareness, and as a result that ticks all the boxes because it gets volunteers into the care home and it ensures that the care home is transparent and everyone can see what's happening there. Yes, I'll come back to you because I'm going to work my way around this side if you don't mind. Who was it who had their hand up? Yes.
I work as a carer in a care home in Exeter, and we've had people to work towards the Duke of Edinburgh award scheme in. They painted his garden, we've got quite a big dementia unit, they come and sit, they talk, they play musical instruments, they sing, and that's helping them as well as us. They spend a lot of time with us now.
Good idea, very good. I'm working my way around the back so I shall end up in the front. Yes, another idea from Anne.
Through a series of coincidences, Devon Senior Voice organised a poetry competition on my grandparents, and it became obvious from one of the poems that the grandparent had dementia. And this led on to a connection to the Oakhampton College, as a health and social care group, having a permanent memory cafe there, which the memory cafes around the area supply people for. This has now led on to a Dementia Awareness Day going to be organised in July with the students co-organising this with Devon Senior Voice and everybody hopefully becoming ambassadors, which the students already are.
And I can also tell you that Oakhampton College was one of the schools that was one of our pioneer schools in the schools programme, and there they worked out how, with people who were computer literate, who had dementia, could create dementia boxes or memory boxes on their computers and send them. So Oakhampton again in Devon doing a great deal of work. Yeah, sorry, can you pass the microphone along?
When my father was getting a bit older, we sat down with a tape recorder and recorded him talking about his experiences of the war. And I'm wondering about us, whether we could talk into digital voice recorders or something like that to say that our grandchildren can hear our voices even when we're not with them, or whether we are one of the ones that gets dementia, that we do that. Or we went into a home and talked to people using a digital voice recorder or similar.
You've hit upon something that we're doing with our schools programme, because in some of our schools we're asking the young people to be, first of all, mentored by BBC reporters in their region. This is going to start happening in September, so you've absolutely hit the nail on the head there. Reporters from the BBC in each of the regional areas are going to go and mentor young people in school and tell them how to interview, how to draw material out of people. And the idea is that we're going to, and again we're starting in Devon because we're going to, well, Devon and Liverpool, but in Liverpool they're already doing this, in Devon we're going to do it. The schools will start to create a dementia archive, talking to people about their memories, what they do remember, and the museum in Plymouth is going to put those archives, those tapes into into their local archive, but also make the tapes available to the families. So as you say, grandchildren, great-grandchildren that come in the future will have those wonderful memories and the voices of their grandparents, their great-grandparents, going back, well, who knows how long those tapes will last, going back several generations. So that's an absolutely brilliant idea, thank you. So we're running out of time, so I'm going to take another idea from here. Teresa.
I'm from Ilfracombe. I'm sharing musical memories, which is social singing group for dementia. Ilfracombe Council also offer free dementia awareness training. So how do you get the people in there? But today I've been inspired by Norm, and I've got the paperwork, and I personally will go in every shop in Ilfracombe to get them the same.
Perfect. And that's what it's going to take. It takes personal involvement, and that's why I think, Heather, it was brilliant you saying you've got to have a session at the end of today where we throw the challenge out to you and say, what are you going to do? Because individually, you all can do something which collectively will make a hell of a difference. Whether it's going into a care home as a volunteer, whether it's recording your own voices for your children in the future, certainly becoming a dementia friend, or having become a dementia friend, then going into your local shop, your local taxi company or whatever and saying, do you know about this? What can I tell you? You know, how can you help? And you may well find, in fact, that your local community is already working in some way towards becoming dementia friendly because it's part of the Dementia Alliance. But by being an individual prepared to take action yourself, you probably can make a huge, huge difference. And I'm just thrilled that actually so much of what we do with our committee is emanating from here in Devon, or that on our committee, which is a national committee, so much that comes out of it springs from ideas that have come from Devon and from things that we're doing in Devon. And I think where the Women's Institute is concerned, to go back to that discussion, how the Devon Federation and the Women's Institute can make a difference, the big difference you can make is individually taking responsibility for becoming dementia friendly as a dementia friend, or taking some kind of positive action, but more importantly, ensuring that through Heather and through your national organisation, you spread the word nationally, so that every member, every single one of the 250,000 women who are members of the WI become a dementia friend in some way or another, and take some kind of positive action which enables people with dementia and their carers to be able to live well with the condition within society. And remember what I said about it being an insurance policy, and you can make your very first deposit today.
Thank you, Angela. I think that's a really valuable thing we've done here this afternoon, and thank you for leading us with that. Running around and getting a bit of exercise as well. So my pledge to you is that I've written down all of those ideas, and I will publish them in our DFWI magazine. But I would also ask you, if you go away from here, because sometimes that happens, doesn't it? You're driving home and you think, oh, I should have said that, or I wish I'd said that, to give me more ideas. Keep feeding me with ideas, and I will publish them so that we can share them around DFWI. You can get my contact details from the magazine, my column there. And then individually we'll start making a difference, collectively we'll start making a difference. And I have been asked by NFWI to do a blog about today.
sure what that means, but I'll find out. So if there's anybody there that would like to help me do a blog about today, then I'd be very grateful if you make yourself known. I'm always up for a challenge and I will have a go at anything. But I could do with a bit of help with that one as well, so I look forward to hearing from you about that. Well, I don't know about you, but I think on what we've heard today, we can be proud to be living in Devon. We have good people in our community doing amazing things to ease the lives of people living with dementia and their families. From Dr. Pearson and his team of researchers, to David Light and his work with memory cafes, to Rachel Johnson and her enthusiasm for engaging families and young people, to Norms and the great achievements that he has made for the people of Torbay and beyond. Jerry and Angela are also two Devon women that are making a difference across the country. But we have also learned that we need to do more. More needs to happen so that we can live in a place where dementia is understood, recognised and accommodated. The WI have a fine pedigree for being forward-thinking and making a difference where it counts, and I think we've had that in abundance today. So thank you for taking the time to come here today to our DFWI Memory Matters Day. You are indeed inspiring women and a few men, and coming together we can all make a difference. So thank you very much. Now we're just going to finish with some singing from Jane. Jane's just going to tell us a little, Jean, just say Jean, and I know Jean, it's the end of the day. Jean is just going to tell us a little bit about singing for the brain and then give us some examples of how that works.
I don't quite know whether I count as the chocolate at the end of the meal or the bit where everybody escaped. So if you have to go, please go. I know there are some people who have to go. Well, I run Singing for the Brain in Exeter in St Thomas Church Hall. And I just want to say a few words about Singing for the Brain, which is an activity, a core activity of the Alzheimer's Society. And you've seen volunteers and members of the staff here today, and I hope you've all picked up lots of leaflets. And I hope some of you may have picked up a leaflet about Singing for the Brain. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about it, and first of all, I'll tell you why, like Angela, I became part of this organisation. It was an insurance policy, really, believe it or not. Both my parents had different forms of dementia, and I was a carer for 16 years. Eventually, both of them passed away, and in 2005, I read an article in the Alzheimer's Society magazine about this organisation, or this group, called Singing for the Brain. It had started in 2003 with a pilot project. A wonderful woman called Creanne Montgomery Smith in Newbury in Berkshire. It so happens my son lives in Reading, and before long I was on the phone saying, can I come and see what you're doing? Because I was also out of a job. I'm a music teacher, or I was, and I'd done a lot of singing. I even encountered young Pen Wardens at one stage. And so I was all ready to do something new. So I eventually did the training, and I started the first group in the southwest. We even had a group in Exeter before Bristol, so that's not bad. And that was in 2006. So we've been doing this in Exeter for 8 years, and during that time, from a very small group of 6 couples and about 6 volunteers, we have grown, so much so that we now have 2 groups in Exeter. One of them meets not very far away from here in St James's Church Hall, and the other one now in St Thomas in the other side of Exeter. So we cover both sides of Exeter. We meet, in my group, we meet on a Tuesday afternoon every week. We do have some holidays. A number of our volunteers are grannies and grandpas, and they need to do some grannying and grandpaing, so they do have some time over the summer holidays to go off and do that. But other than that, we meet weekly. We're what we like to think of, we're a stimulating social group. We meet, we have tea first. The idea behind that is that if we have tea at the beginning, when people are coming, then they don't feel embarrassed if they're a bit late. There's that gap to allow people to get to the group.
and find a seat. We are not a choir. We don't give performances. If you'd asked me to have Singing for the Brain choir singing today, you'd have got nobody. You just got me. So you have. But we are a practicing group. We sit in a circle. Everybody is equal. Volunteers sit amongst all group. There's no distinction between our groups, our volunteers, our carers, our people living with dementia. They're all on an equal footing. Last week we had a request week, and this we do from time to time. Brings me back to another thing Angela was saying. We had requests of all manner of songs, and I asked people to say why they wanted to sing the song. And a lovely man said to me, well, it reminds me of all those years of happy marriage, and he lives on his own now. And he said, it's just such a wonderful song. And he said, do you know, I had 5 children. So that was a lovely experience for him. But I have to say, recently we've had a Beatles Day, we've had an ABBA Day, we've had a 60s session, and we do not sing World War I songs. Although on Tuesday, because part of our outreach into the community is that we are connected with 2 schools, and one of them is a primary school, and for the World War I year celebrations, they are doing World War songs, and they said to me, can we come and sing them to you next week? And I said, yes, but don't expect our members to join in, because they're not that generation at all. Well, you know, children think everybody over 50 is old, don't they? Anyway, they're coming next week. They have come twice a year for the last 8 years. So we actually predate all this activity that's going on with young people, which is so wonderful. And in fact, 2 years ago, Angela and I were together on the activity with the Devon schools. So we've been involved with that. We also have a senior school involved, and the children from there, well, the girls' school, they come along and they use it, some of them, as part of the Devon DOV training. And they come along and make tea and chat. And all of our group had a wonderful session last 2 or 3 weeks ago with Marianne, who stood up at the back there telling you about This Is Me, and we are now all dementia friends. So that's a bit about us, and now a little bit about our songs. We always start with a warm-up, and now you don't need a warm-up today, do you? But I do think you need this next song. It's a very well-known tune, and in order to do this, I'm going to have to put the microphone down because I can't do the actions, otherwise it'll all disappear. So I'm afraid you're going to have to bear with me on this. The song is called I'm Awake, I'm Alive. That's right. My memory's bad at this time of the day, especially in the heat. Okay, I'm alive, I'm alert, I'm awake. And it goes like this.
I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm alert, I'm awake. I'm alive, I'm alert, I'm awake. I'm alive, I'm alert, I'm awake. I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm alert, I'm awake. Okay, let's do it. I'm not very good. I'm alive, I'm alert, I'm awake. I'm alive, I'm alert, I'm awake. I'm awake, I'm alive, I'm alert.
I always say to the group, we do have a lot of fun, mainly when I make mistakes, and so I'm glad, because laughter is one of the most important things in our group. Making mistakes is all part of it. And one of the things that I like to think in the group is nobody's afraid of making a mistake. I've just done it, never mind. There we go. I did want to tell you a little story connected with the next song, and this is to do with the fact that, of course, Devon is a seafaring part of the world. We do have a lot of sailors about. We have a lot of former sailors who've been in our group over the years. And we did have one some years ago, and we always had to sing What Shall We Do with a Drunken Sailor, which I'm going to make you do in a minute. Now, he used to come, towards the end of his time with us, he came in a wheelchair. He had some difficulty putting words together, but he was fantastic singing, what shall we do with a drunken sailor? What shall we do with a drunken sailor? What shall we do with a drunken sailor? Early in the morning.
Hooray, and up she rises, hooray, and up she rises, hooray, and up she rises early in the morning.
And we sang that, and as many of you know, it has many, many verses. And we sang all the verses we had in our song sheets, and we finished. But he didn't. He knew one more verse. And he knew, as I say, you know, he just carried on, and we just left him, and he carried on, and we joined in with the chorus at the end. Just proving that even though memory plays tricks with us when we're trying to put words together, as you've seen already, singing is so much easier than saying. And we find this all the time. The other thing I would like to say is that I have also been going into nursing homes at times, and I went into, in fact, where my late mother was, and I went in to sing some songs, and we sang, actually it was a few years ago now, and it was the Nightingale sang in Berkeley Square. And there was a gentleman sitting on one side with a carer, and he sat there completely unmoved until we got to this particular song. And he joined in, but not a lot. And at the end, he started talking to the carer, and he was apparently telling her that he remembered during the war when he was there with a child in a cafe, and the radio was playing this song. And afterwards I spoke to the carer, and I said to the carer, that was nice that he was interested in the song. She said, yes, do you know he hasn't spoken for a fortnight until now? So it just goes to show the power of singing. Singing is so important. We also, obviously we sing songs and we have song sheets. I wasn't going to bring lots of song sheets today, so I'm going to ask you to do a song, which is what many of the songs we have are called call and response songs. And that means that I sing first and then you copy me. Okay? So the next song, we're not frightened of singing unusual songs. When people get to know the group, they're quite happy to learn new songs. And this song comes from Uganda. It's very easy, so I'm going to sing it through, and I want each phrase, I want you to copy what I do. I hope you can follow that, okay? Alunde, 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 alunde. And we sing this song towards the end of our session. It's often quite a lively session. We've often got lots of activity. One of our favourite things is to do the Mammoth Walk. I'm not going to do that now. You all want to get home. You all need to go and have your tea or collect your grandchildren from school or whatever. So I'm not going to go on. But I am going to ask you to join with me in the very last song. And this song is one that we sing every week in our group. It's not the same in every group, I know, but this is what we like to sing. And it's a song called Shalom. I don't know if you know it. I'm just going to have a quick glass of water if you don't mind. It's starting to get a little bit dry. So you remember the song is Shalom, my friends, Shalom, my friends, Shalom, Shalom, until we meet again, my friends, Shalom, Shalom. Now most of you got the idea with that, haven't you? What we do in the group, and I'm going to ask you to do this now, if you would please, we hold the hand of the people either side of us, and we sing it 3 times. We sing it 3 times. I'm going to go down a bit, that's a bit high. We sing it 3 times. The first time we sing quite loudly, the second time we sing a little bit quieter, and the third time we don't sing at all, we just hum. Okay? And I'm going to take it down a bit because I could hear you all a bit strained. So loud. Shalom, my friend, Shalom, my friend, Shalom.
friend. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, my friend. Shalom, my friend. Shalom, shalom. Until we meet again, my friend. Shalom, shalom.
It gives me the greatest pleasure to get up and give this vote of thanks for today. When Heather asked me, I wasn't sure whether it was because I belonged to that one in three listening. But I thought I'd just prove by the notes that I've taken to put on my iPad, which somebody said. And I've got an iPad because I can't see. Usually I can spread them on that. But I'm always amazed at my grandchildren always seem to use one word called amazing. Doesn't that say? It's amazing. Much as I have tried to go through my mental thesaurus today, I can't think of a better word to say than amazing. What today has been. Dr. Pearson gave us a single story of what dementia is. And over lunch I did remind him how peninsula friendly we are in Devon Federation, because we raise an enormous amount of money to get the Peninsula Medical School going. And I said that I'm sure you will find us a continuing support. David Light was just such a lovely story. And to think that he started memory cafes here in Devon is just incredible. The analogy between the acorns and the oak was the one that came to me when he was saying, Rachel would just change those barriers. Her ability to go across the intergeneration one, I thought, was amazing. Norm, as soon as he got up with that North Country accent, I said to myself, I must have come not very far from him. And again, as he sat down, I said, I come from Bury in Lancashire. And he said, oh, Bury Market in Black Pudding. He gave a word-perfect presentation, which was nothing more than inspirational. Bits and Pieces took us into lunch with that wonderful sing-song they had. And what just occurred to me, and I didn't say it when Andrew was doing it, I don't know how many institutes here don't sing Jerusalem anymore. And so it is true of my institute. So even if we aren't, I think we could perhaps sing, those of you that have nipped it off, or sing it there, perhaps we could start singing together with Jerusalem. Jerry spoke about our links with the Rotary, and really means quite a lot of us are actually married to Rotarians. So why don't we not try to do what they are doing, but to link up and do it together? Jean, the Blitz and Peepers took us into lunch with singing. You're taking us up, singing on our way back home to supper. Angela, David Cameron knew what he was doing. I can hear him thinking, I'll talk and you do. Human stories were added to the ones we've heard today. We should be very proud achievements are. I'm jolly glad that we're going to spend our old age in this fabulous country. But lastly, I want to say thanks to my friend Heather Morton, a example of anybody. Oh, I see. Well, I can say what I'm going to say without reading what I put down. But I'm absolutely delighted to be called Heather Morton's friend. And if ever there is an example of an inspiration woman, then it's Heather. She has put together a program today which has taken us through the story with one that we will go back home with. I think that what Heather has said and what she has managed to do to persuade not just the 120 people here, but the 140, 50, 60 people who wanted to come. So it's our job to take the message away with us. Heather, I'm very proud to be your friend. And thank you very much to everybody else. It has been amazing.
And that was production the WI Memory Matters Day at the ISCA Centre, Exeter, Devon, UK. It was roll 1 and it was 44 scenes. It was the first take by ADR Films, that's Adam David Reynolds, on the 15th of the 5th 2014, and that's a wrap.